Okay, our third company of the evening is MicroSalt, and they are the low-sodium technology company currently commercialising a patented full-flavour low-sodium salt. MicroSalt became the first company to IPO in AIM this year with a very appropriate ticker, SALT, S-A-L-T. Shares were 43 pence at launch, and yes, really, they're now more than doubled in price to 90 pence. So some IPOs do go well. Excessive sodium intake is a major contributor to hypertension and heart disease globally. And CEO Rick Guiney and CFO Konrad Dabrowski, they join us live from Florida to explain how they make it easy, or MicroSalt makes it easy, for global food manufacturers to lower the amount of salt in processed food. Greetings, Rick and Konrad.
Thank you, Donald. We really appreciate being here. And yes, we are coming from sunny southern Florida. So yes, we are.
Yeah, sunny southern Florida.
That's right. That's right.
It's a joy and a pleasure to have you on, Rick and Konrad. So if you want to deliver your presentation, we'd be very happy to listen.
Let's go then. Okay. So let's just talk a little bit about what we're trying to do here, our company profile and our mission. We have patented technology that allows us to produce the world's only low-sodium true salt. We're a major disruptor in the food market, and what this allows us to do, very simply put, is to deliver full flavor with low sodium. And that's significant different from the previous low-sodium solutions. You know, sodium is a really big problem, and its problem is international. Every geography has its own issues. The WHO is targeting global reduction by 30%. All 194 WHO countries have signed on to that. Every single one of them. 7.6 million people in the UK have cardiovascular disease. In the UK, your target of consumption for sodium is 6 grams. That's your target. You're actually at 9. And the WHO says you should be at 3. So in the UK alone, sodium reduction is a significant and highly profiled issue. Some of you may have seen recently that Henry Dibbleby is trying to announce new food advertising and packaging controls with black octagon labels on the front and advertising restrictions at nighttime. So it's a significant problem. We're really happy to be able to say that we, through our new technology, can get there. The market is massive. We have patented technology that gets us there without changing flavor. And the real point there to this is that means we don't have to instigate consumer behavior changes. The consumer will never know. Your crisps in bag 1 versus your crisps in bag 2. Bag 2 will taste just the same, except it'll have 50% less sodium. And that's the biggest thing. You can't maintain a low sodium diet if your food tastes bad. Our stuff works in a lot of applications. It works topically on crisps and nuts and crackers and popcorn. It works in slurries and formulas. It works inside peanut butter. It works in almost everything. It works really great in bread. It works excellent. And part of our process is what we do is we make it really small. And when you do that, you improve its product adhesion. You know, we've all done it. You shake your food. You put your salt in your food and the salt bounces off, so you put more on. Well, MicroSalt doesn't bounce off. It sticks to where it's going. So when you ingest it, you get the full flavor without ingesting all that extra salt. And if you're on the production floor, you know, those of us that have spent some of our career on the production floor, you know, you've got salt everywhere. It bounces off. It's in the lines. It's on the floor. It's in the extra in the bags. None of that happens. It's really, really great on the production floor. And, you know, it tastes like salt because it is salt. We don't grind it. We don't mill it. We shrink it. And it works on any kind of salt, whether you're talking about mine salt from Texas or sea salt from Australia or pink salt from the Himalayan mountains. It all works the same. It's the same process. And, you know, that gives us a huge market opportunity. The low sodium market alone is over $5 billion. And that's not even counting the fact that we're now eating into the regular sodium salt market as a replacement. So we've got a great opportunity to address a serious health opportunity and a giant market. You know, our investment proposition is real simple. We have a unique technology. we deliver significant health benefits to everybody. You know, to the 12-year-old kid who doesn't have heart disease yet, maybe he won't get that heart disease. And to our grandparents and our parents that go to the doctor and come home with a low sodium diet prescription, then we can help them too. So we get everybody across the board. You know, rapid growth is our significant opportunity because it's everywhere in the world. You deal with a big problem like this, you deal with the biggest customers. We are dealing with the world's largest food manufacturers. They make food across the globe in different geographies. Now, of course, we talk to everybody of any size, but our target is with our bulk salt, and our target is those big players that make a lot of food across the globe. You know, our production is very simple. Part of the brilliance of this is its simplicity. We are able to replicate our production close to where the demand might be. We've had some customers say, can you make a plant in Mexico? We say, sure. Can you put a plant in Poland? We say, sure. Now, of course, there's volume requirements there, but it's not hard for us to replicate MicroSalt. We have the know-how, we have obviously the patent, and when we have all the trade knowledge from almost 5 years now of learning how to make it. We've got a great team behind us. We got a great board. I mean, this board is just fantastic. Konrad, who's sitting silently next to me here, is a really well-qualified international CFO. Judith Batchelor is an OBE. She's the highest-ranking British nutritionist, and she's extremely active in the British food scene. Gary Armstrong is a very well-respected and experienced CFO at the largest level. And Dan Emery is an experienced high-level sales guy. And these people aren't an idle board. They are engaged with us. They're almost like sales reps. It's really great. I get emails from them all the time. Real quick on the market, on the right-hand side, you see some of the standard stuff, low salt, new salt, no salt, and they all basically come from potassium chloride, which is all the industry had before us. You see on the left where we are, we have 148 megagrams of sodium compared to Morton salt at 590. That's a significant health benefit. You're shaking salt on your food, you should be using MicroSalt. If you're making food in your plant, you should be using MicroSalt to save that kind of sodium consumption. Konrad, can you flip for me? Thank you. Okay, we basically have a three-pronged marketing approach. B2B is where the meat is. Obviously, that's where we sell the major food manufacturers, the salt resellers across the globe. We just returned from 5 days from the world's largest food show in Dubai. It's how we're going to address our problem. The problem we're addressing is sodium consumption. So this is how we're going to get there. We also, in the beginning, nobody believed us. Said, yeah, sure. So we went back and we made a line of proof of concept here in the U.S., potato chips. And they came out so great that there's in over 500 stores now. So we have some B2C business. We also thought it was important that since this is such a health benefit, that we put shakers in people's hands so they can put them in the pantry. They can become generational product. So we do have shakers for sale in the UK, specifically on Amazon.com, and in addition to the US. And of course, through all that, we have marketing support. Here's a quick look at our pipeline, our consumer pipeline. And it goes from right to left again. Consumer A and Consumer B have already placed their first orders. They are major international food companies. And I'm not allowed to say their names because of their own press release regulations internally to them. Customer C and Customer D, we're in testing and rollout stages. These are major international food companies. And the thing of it is here is that we're not asking anybody to create extra SKUs. We're not saying, hey, have a bag one of crisps and then bag two of low sodium crisps. We're not saying that. We're saying just change your salt. It saves all their time, all their marketing efforts around that. And it's serious and significant benefit and a result of the new technology. We've got customer A, we're on their private label nut line, and it's in over 900 stores, and we expected that to roll out during 2024. Customer B is the Mexican subsidiary of customer C, again an international company, and we're already commercialized with them. They've already given us multiple orders. We are in a number of items. We're extending ourselves into Latin America and South America through the Mexican doorway. Customer C is actually the headquarters of this particular company, and we have a number of products in discussion with them, and including a joint development agreement that's in conversation. We hope that's all going to wrap itself up first half of 2024. Customer D is one of the world's largest bakery companies, and we accelerated our products through their R&D because, again, it's so simple. We're not introducing new flavors. In the past, reformulation was a food nightmare because you were actually adding a new flavor. Right now, reformulation is easy. We're not adding a new flavor. We're just switching out salt. And customer E is one of the world's largest chicken producers. Specifically here in the U.S., they do a ton of business with the K through 12 lunch business, and they've got to lower sodium. Now, the sodium in chicken, it comes in the breading, obviously. When you make, who doesn't like chicken nuggets, there's salt in that breading. So that applies. That's how we get to that market. And that market applies, again, internationally. There's chicken nuggets everywhere. Again, I was in Dubai, and I could get chicken nuggets. It's everywhere. Salt and sodium consumption is a global issue. And we have very few geographies that we don't have opportunity in.
Yeah, that's right, Rick. And as you mentioned, even just seeing customers A through E, they're mostly focused on the snacks, large food manufacturers that produce a line of snacks, whether it's crisps, popcorn, sometimes it's cereal, sometimes it's ready-to-go meals. So there's a wide application of that, of MicroSalt. And in the UK alone, the government has designated around 84 categories of food that should be targeting reducing sodium levels in them, and MicroSalt works on almost all of them. Each one of those products is a multi-million pounds opportunity for MicroSalt. And Rick, I just wanted to maybe mention here that while current customers are mostly on snacks and food ingredient, we can also apply MicroSalt on bread, right? We recently filed a patent application a few months ago. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. We have the same functionality as traditional salt, and salt is a requirement to have bread and yeast develop in bread. And we found that MicroSalt does a better job of activating the yeast than traditional salt. So not only do you get a lower sodium bread, you get a bread that's made quicker. And this has been tested by one of the world's largest QSR chains, and they're very excited about it. And they're the ones that actually pointed it out to us. They ran MicroSalt through stress testing following our presentation, and they were extremely excited about how they can make bread quicker and they can make bread taste the same, but with much less sodium. Typically, there's over 200 milligrams of sodium in a standard hamburger bun. Imagine how many hamburger buns are made across the world, or just in the top three QSR chains.
That's another addressable market for us. And as we kind of move into the financial discussions, it's worth remembering that 2023 was really the year of launching MicroSalt for two of those largest B2B customers that Rick mentioned, customer A and customer B, and our revenue in 2023 only reflected the proof of concept sales. We've also launched MicroSalt shakers in 2023, so the numbers from those sales are also not annualized. That's why we're so optimistic about 2024 and what the future holds for us. Historically, we've invested into sales and marketing and obviously development of the product. As it comes to R&D, it's mostly complete when it comes to snacks and breaded product. Our business model is very friendly in that it focuses mostly on B2B customers with very good gross margins. and doesn't involve necessarily huge amounts of money into branding and name recognition and brand recognition, right? It's not a B2C product. There is already a need and market existing for that. Around half of our customers and leads in our pipeline came to us directly on a cold approach basis. We didn't have to do much to get to that point, and obviously a lot of work when it comes to reformulation and working with their teams to roll out the product. But in terms of the sales job, it's that much easier when there's already government regulation and pressure and NGOs, as it is in the UK, for example, and coming regulations in terms of the front of package labeling, which also forces the companies to come to us. Another great thing about MicroSalt is it doesn't involve a lot of capital expenditures, because it can be produced in a manufacturer using already existing off-the-shelf dry spraying equipment. So any flavor house, seasoning house, any large food manufacturer doesn't need to alter their equipment or buy new equipment. Just to talk briefly about use of proceeds from our recent IPO, it's a good use of capital in terms of the growth capital, because we're focused on scaling up our inventory and how we can deliver to some of these largest customers we already have. We've had 7 people on the team, and Rick and the team need help in terms of just servicing the large orders. They're not contained to one geography either. We're working in Latin America, in North America, but also in Europe and Asia at this point. So it's a really good use of funds. It's mostly past R&D. Now we have future opportunities in terms of line extensions, for example, for French fries and other very large addressable markets. But most of the funds is really going towards the working capital and inventory. One good thing about salt is also that it has a great shelf life. So inventory management becomes that much easier. It's also easier to ship, and we can stock up in certain geographies. And Rick, back to you.
Thank you, Konrad. Excuse me a while. What this boils down to, everybody, is we have a serious competitive advantage with a unique patented product. The market is huge because we deliver significant health benefits everywhere. We're allowed to grow across the globe, and that's an unusual thing. Both B2B and B2B channels are solid for us. We have high visibility and high profile customers. It's easy to make our stuff. Let's be honest. If it was really complicated, we couldn't say with a straight face, yeah, I can make it in Mexico, and yes, I can make it in Poland, but it's relatively easy for us to make. We're beyond a startup in the sense that our team is really strong, and we know how to do what we're doing. And we have a clear trajectory. We know exactly what we need to do. We're already embedded in some of these larger food companies, so we're ready to go. It's an unusually strong opportunity. And as you can see a picture over here on the right, this is Chef Jack Stein. He's our local UK ambassador right now, and Chef Jack is actually working on videos for us as we speak. If I can wrap it up, it's an unusual opportunity for us to come to work every day, to earn a return on investment, and to actually help people be healthier. And I say this anecdotally when I make sales presentations, but it's very true. I have a 15-year-old son, and it'd be great if he didn't have heart disease when he's 55. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're talking about, is keeping people alive. Back to you, Donald.
Okay, Rick, thank you so much for your presentation. I'm slightly worried about your voice. Do you need to go and get yourself...
I'm sorry about that. I've been using it a lot lately.
Crisps, Rick?
I've been using it a lot lately, and sorry about that. I apologize.
Do you have any access to water, Rick?
I do. I can get a little better here. You
go grab yourself some water, I think. And in the meanwhile, I will ask you a question. American Trading International, you just put out an RNS reach on the collaboration you're doing with American Trading International. So if you could explain who ATI are and what this collaboration will look like and what other collaborations in the future might look like. Is this the first of many?
Yes, it's fantastic. I just spent a week in Dubai with ATI. American Trading International. And what happens is they acquire the booth space that we need, let's say in these foreign markets, in this case Dubai, a very large footprint. We then have a space within their booths that alleviates us from having to ship international booth expenses. And when customers come to buy American products from ATI, let's say again in Dubai, we are now included in that list. So as we stand in the booth with the ATI personnel, we get to extend ourselves. It's an invaluable asset when you're entering international markets. These food shows in Dubai and in Shanghai and in Paris, just to name a few, are massive events. So if you're a standalone item, it's very difficult to make any progress. By partnering with ATI, we are now part of their product family for export. So you need to fill the container up. Let's be real, you're filling up a container. Now we can do it with 20 items instead of just our one. So it really, really expedites the product flow. It makes it cheaper for everybody. And it's a fast track way for us this year to make significant international presence. You know, you've got to meet people. And I always believe that people do business with the people they like. So that means we're going to stand in that booth and we're going to be in Shanghai, we're going to be in Dubai, and we're going to be in Paris so that people understand who they're doing business with.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. It does sound a great way to do business. You were mentioning customers A, B, C, D, E. At what point in the sales cycle will you start to be able to tell us who those customers are? When will you be able to start booking sales? And when will that start feeding through to the bottom line?
Well, we are booking sales for some of them now, but part of our relationship is that we have to protect their own internal procedures, policies as it regards to their supply chain. We do expect some announcements relatively soon. I can't tell you exactly when because that's a cooperative venture between us and our customers. And there are some issues. There are some competitive advantage issues. There are some other issues involved in their own PR, their press release and communication standards. So we're frustrated as well as you. We'd love to be able to tell you who we're talking about, but we just can't just yet. But as long as they continue to deliver us the orders, we'll survive.
That's the thing about dealing with the world's majors. They call the shots, and you don't, unfortunately.
That's correct.
Yeah. If you could talk us through a typical sales cycle, given that that's where we're at, is there such a thing? And presumably, it's a lengthy process winning a brand's trust.
Well, yes, it is. But we have a couple things that are working for us. First, we're not asking them to create new SKUs. We're just asking them to reformulate their current business, so that the marketing spend is much less than it would be. We have significant tailwinds behind us with all the government push to lower sodium. The consumers want lower sodium, so we have a lot of tailwinds to help shorten the sales cycle. Typically, without all that stuff, it'd probably be 18 months. But we've been able to shorten it significantly because we have these things, these advantages. Most of the major food marketing companies already have existing low sodium initiatives in-house. So we dovetail with that stuff really easily we don't have to convince these people that they need to lower sodium. They know they need to lower sodium. It's just a matter of how.
Okay, which takes us to a question from Tom Dunley, a shareholder. He asks, when should investors expect to see a financial calendar disclosing revenues, EBITDA, and so on for the business? I was having a chat before with Konrad, and he says it's perhaps a little bit too early, but there you go.
Yes, at some point later in the year, yes. We're still aligning, with some stakeholders in terms of the calendar of certain activities in our financials, as we're doing it for the first time after the IPO. So, but we'll keep you posted, and we'll update the market accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much, Konrad. Yes, the health benefits of a patented low-sodium product give you big advantages in some markets. So which countries and governments are keen on reducing salt from people's diet? And how are, in particular, relationships with the UK retailers progressing? I'm sure quite a few shareholders are actually in the UK, so they'd be interested to see some successes, some wins with the UK retailers.
Well, the UK is one of our target markets. Obviously, we're on the London Stock Exchange, so the UK is one of our target markets. And we are making significant progress with all of the UK major chains. Again, I can't say them by name, but there aren't that many. So you can pretty much put your names around it.
We're working them out.
We're talking with them. We're talking to all their suppliers with their support. And basically what happens is we get on a joint sales call with the retail on one side and their co-manufacturers on the other, and we're in the middle. So there's a three-way conversation. It's not just us trying to convince the manufacturer to do it. We have the stakeholder in that conversation. And that's how that starts. And then we go off to the reformulation stage. We are down the road with a number of products and with a number of retailers. We're very happy that you can buy the shakers in Amazon UK as we speak now. And as we continue to grow, it's only going to become more and more obvious.
Okay, let me ask you, what are the toughest preconceptions you have to overcome when you're speaking to those global manufacturers? When you're standing in that stand in Dubai, what are the tough questions they're asking you?
Well, it's all about reformulation. And it's a really simple answer. It's just new technology. In the past, the food business has been saddled with a very difficult task of reformulation when it comes to low sodium because they were actually adding a new flavor. Potassium chloride has its own flavor. So reformulation became very complicated. In our case, reformulation is extremely easy. So we say it's like the dial-up modem. It's like seat belts. This is the next level. And reformulation has become so much easier. Take out your existing salt product and put in MicroSalt. We're not asking you to hide a new flavor. We're not asking you to do any of that stuff anymore. It's just a simple replacement. Now, they're going to want to run their tests, and I appreciate that. It's their job, and they want to protect the public and make sure that their products taste the way they want to taste, and that's part of the sales cycle. That's part of the food business. But we have significantly streamlined the reformulation progress, and that's been the problem. And when people realize that, then they say, "Oh, I don't have to do any of that work. I don't have to balance flavors. I don't have to add in 5 to cover up 1." No, you don't. It's very simple.
Is this where if I could ask, Rick, is this where your experience a huge experience in the food industry comes into play? I mean, you've actually been a CEO of a business and made these decisions for yourself. So are you the secret weapon, perhaps? Is that a good way of putting it?
No, I'm not the secret weapon. The product is the secret weapon, for sure. The product and the team are the secret weapon. But I do have experience in this a lot. And I remember in my previous life struggling with wasabi. When wasabi first came on the food market, it was a big hit. And I struggled with wasabi because it's really strong. And if you're going to add wasabi, you have to add something else to cut it back a little bit. So I'm very familiar with this whole reformulation, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be that way. And once you get the R&D departments understanding that, they can fast track this all the way through right up to the C-suite, in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I think overcoming these, in a way, preconceived notions of, well, if something is low sodium, then it has to taste worse, right? That's the kind of expectation that grew because that was what was available in the last 20 years. The UK government has been trying to lower sodium, has set out multiple sodium reduction targets in the last 20 years. Even from talking to the bachelor, OBE, she's on our board, the market has been just waiting for an ingredient that doesn't sacrifice the flavor. And so once we demonstrated in extensive testing with customers, that obviously comes out that we can do that. But, sometimes initially that's the approach, right? If it's lightly salted, that means it doesn't taste as good, right?
Okay, my final question to you, Rick. What news flow can investors expect over the next 6 months? And why should investors add salt to the watch list now? There you go, a big question to end on.
Well, I'm going to pick that most of the Konrad, but I'll say, being the sales guy, you'll see nothing but good news from us. But Konrad, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think in addition to what Rick kind of alluded to your previous question, Donald, in terms of some of these large customers, they all have their internal low sodium initiative. And what they usually do is they come out, hey, here's our press release, we're trying to lower sodium. And then they have a series of press releases when they get more granular and they say, okay, in this XYZ product or product line, we've launched lower sodium. So we're kind of at the mercy of their calendar, because at the end of the day, we're their supplier. So we do expect some news from these large customers this year. And in addition to that, that's on the B2B side, wholesale side. And then on the B2C side, we do expect also some retailers in terms of the shakers and the crisps perhaps, but more so focused on the shakers in the UK and abroad as well. It could be a combination of e-commerce platforms and physical stores and retailers, but that's our go-to-market effort at the moment.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us from Florida. That was Rick Guiney, the CEO at MicroSalt, and Konrad Dabrowski, the CFO at MicroSalt. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, gentlemen.